away, battling, having got in way of the attempted clearance. Jim Gannon. Oh, great flick on by Alan Armstrong.
Piece against Bradford, but here's Warburton!
Yes!
Oh! Allen trying to manufacture the shot, gets it away, yeah!
Not got it clear. Please, it's a cracker!
Running Armstrong, played in again, and a superb goal!
Tony Goody! Stockport County are the champions of League Two.
Hello and welcome to this week's Scarf Bagara Award, your award-nominated BBC Radio Manchester frequenters in partnership with Edgeley Con Club coaches and charity partners with Mentel. Welcome to everybody. Thanks for joining us on this of what is going to be a bit of a counselling session, I would have thought. I hope you're strapped in for this. I'm joined by, as always, by my man of rants. It's Waggie. You all right, mate?
Yes, I'm all right, mate. I'm not too bad. Not too bad. And just for the record, the people that are watching, those mistakes are nothing to do with me. Russ put us back on, not me.
Oh yeah. I'm all fingers and thumbs because I'm in a different room and I haven't got a mouse, basically. So I cocked that up a bit. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Sorry about that. I knew you'd get something in like that. And we're also joined by not a fan guest, but a podcast guest. It's Jimmy. You all right, mate?
I'm okay, mate. I'm just glad this isn't one of my courtyard club calls, basically, and you're leading the questions and the as you say, the counselling session that we're all going to be in for.
Yeah, we're all good. We're going to relive last night's woeful display. We're going to come to that shortly. Before we do that, though, this week's agenda, we're going to talk about the humbling, and we're going to probably humbling and grumbling. We're going to look ahead to Bolton on Saturday with Ben from the Fanzone Bolton Wanderers podcast. We're going to answer some questions as well, so get ready for those. Getting rezzers. I'm sure you've got your own. The questions as well, if you've got any questions you want us to answer or discuss, do get them into the chat. First, though, bit of admin. We are in the final of the Football Content Awards in 3 weeks' time, I think it is, or 2 weeks' time, down at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So do watch out for that. See if we can win in a group with Under the Cosh and Not the Top 20 podcast as well. Don't think
Maybe we should
win.
just stop mentioning them and just big ourselves up. Because I know we're a small fish in a big pond when it comes to that awards, but we're in the final.
Yeah,
so
but if we mention them, Waggy, then YouTube's algorithms click it all in, and people who are looking for Under the Cosh will look for us. You see, that's how it works.
Oh,
see?
Clever, eh? Clever.
Up there for thinking. Down there, that's it. You see, we're also in the Northwest Football Awards finals, and that is in a few weeks as well. So looking forward to that. Hopefully, third time lucky, but I'm not holding my breath. And then I've got a Kenny Boxall interview. We've done that. We did that in the Armoury last week. Me and Jimmy did that.
You've given the
secret
location away.
Well, it was secret before. It's not secret now. So we've done that, and that'll be out very soon for Patreon. But everybody else will get a teaser of that. But you need to be a Patreon member to get the full episode. And we've got a couple of other venues in Stockport that have kindly let us use their venues for live podcasts or whatever. So we're going to start moving around and growing those and putting out locations so people can come and watch and things like that. So look out for that. We've got a few irons in the fire as well with other guests. So we've got other guests on the hook. We're just finalizing those things. It's always hard to pin them down, but we'll get them pinned down. And finally, thanks to every Patreon and anyone that's listened, downloaded or watched any of our content ever, because you're the reason that we do this. Thank you so much. Right, shall we get Ben out?
Let's.
Because he's probably bored already. Yeah, bored and wants to go and, I don't know, watch the football. Let's get Ben out from the Fanzone Bolton Wanderers podcast. Hello, Ben.
Hello, good evening, lads. All right.
Sorry,
really.
Ben, before before we do carry on, I'd just like to bring your attention to the league podcasting attendance rules, and can honestly say that we have given you our full 25% allocation for this league podcast fixture.
Yes. Yeah.
God, it's been mental, hasn't it? I mean, I kind of resigned to not getting a ticket weeks before anyway, because I think we got 850, was it? And we have 500 away season tickets and 100 will go to family and friends of the players. So I kind of thought, I'm not even going to bother. They're going to sell out after 5 seconds anyway. So whatever, I'm not bothered.
I thought I'd get that in.
Yeah.
May as well get it in first, yeah.
The interesting point you just made there, though, 500 away season tickets is that's a thing, is it? Away season ticket? Wow.
I'm pretty sure that's the number. At the start of the season, I don't know how long we've done it for now, but we've had up to 500 away season tickets available. So you basically just get direct debited for every away game. You can return 5, I think, per season. So it's basically first dibs in all the away games. And I'm pretty sure we sold out this season. So for the local ones where you don't get much of an allocation, you basically got no chance if you're not an away season ticket.
Is that that's on top of your not
really, so
that's on top of the home season ticket? So you have a home season ticket, and then there's these
just an extra
away season, right?
Are you able to share the ticket with your mate or something? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, if you can, you get to return 5 a season, so you can get a refund on 5. But I think that includes all the cups and everything. So all the Bristol Street Motors, and so if you get a rubbish League Cup draw, you can get rid of them if you want. But I mean, if you have got a mate who's the same age category as you, can fob it off. I'm sure you'd be all right.
Interesting. It's what the Premier League Cups do, isn't it? For Cup and European games, they basically
I mean, it's been a heavily debated over the last few years whether we should get a loyalty scheme or not, because I mean some of the so-called smaller local clubs have gone down over the last few years, like Fleetwood and Morecambe, and it seems to be like when we got there, I think we got about 4 or 5 away games in a row where we'd get, say, like 800 or 700, 800, they'd sell out straight away, and there was a massive uproar saying, "Oh, what about the fans that went down to Wycombe away on a Tuesday night? They couldn't get a ticket." But look, it's fair dues, isn't it? Whoever gets there on 10 o'clock on a Thursday to get the tickets gets them, in my opinion.
What made you choose the Wycombe team out of 24 teams? And you chose Wycombe?
No reason at all. No reason. I don't know. Just first team that came to my head.
So let's talk about Bolton then. How's it been going for you this season? I can see you're 6th. You've won 3 out of the last 5. 2 defeats. 1 was against Birmingham, so I don't think there's any shame in that, although you can tell me. And then 1 against Walsall, where there probably was shame in that. But what's your expectations for the season? Are you about right, or what's going on?
It's been a strange one, really, because obviously last season, I mean, probably this time last season, we were top of the league and probably odds on to go up. And then we kind of fell away second half of last season, finished 3rd, and we're like, look, we're odds on for the playoffs now. And obviously lost in the playoff final. So there was massive sort of doom and gloom towards the end of last season. And, a bit of the fan base not happy with Everett and how things were going, but we're willing to give him the start of the season. And the start of the season couldn't have gone much worse, really. We lost. I think we went 1-1-3 in the first 3 games. Yeah, won the opener and then didn't win the next 4. Didn't score in the next 4. So after 5 games, we were sitting 21st, I think it was. And I would say it's fair to say a majority were like, "Oh, it's time to have a change." It was international break at that point. We were saying we've got 2 weeks now, get a new manager in, see how it goes. But I remember sitting there looking, and our next 5 fixtures were all against teams that were down near the bottom. We're thinking, look, if you can. To me, it was at that point, he gets these 5 games and see how he does. And we won 4 and drew 1 up to mid-table. And then we lost to Birmingham. And then we've won the last 2 against Stevenage away and Peterborough at home, which Peterborough at home was our best performance of the season by a mile, even though it took us to the 99th minute to win. Yeah, it was our best performance. So there's still, I would say, a majority that don't think he's the right man for the job. But I think that's basically going to be end of the season, see where we are, and people's mind will get changed. I'm of the opinion that he gets this season, and he's shown progression every single season he's been at the football club. So, in my opinion, at least give him the end of the season. And I do think it is promotion or bust at the minute. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, you've had quite a bit of a up and down recent history, haven't you? I mean, obviously we won't talk about getting beat by us in the cup because obviously it's a cup match in it, and I think you were on your knees anyway. But you went down to League Two at one point, didn't you? From the Premier League, that's right, isn't it? Behind the scenes, and in terms of ownership, is that all stable now? Let alone,
it's all sorted now. I mean, we had awful owners, and that we got to. It was actually my dad's birthday 5 years ago that we were on the brink of going under, and we got saved by Sharon Britton and Football Ventures. What do you call it? Consortium came together and saved us basically. And then that season was all about just sorting the finances in the background. We finished bottom of League One. That was the COVID season. Went down, and then came back up from League Two first time of asking after weirdly a dreadful start. I think in February we were still 19th, I think, and then basically won more or less every other game to the end of the season. Finished third, went up. And then, it's been kind of a stabilising job the first couple of years in League One. We finished 9th first year and then 5th the second year, lost in the playoff semis to Barnsley. And then last year was the first season where it was kind of, right, we need to go up now, basically. Which, if you zoom out, it's been a remarkable few years to sort of go from, we started the League Two season with no squad, no money, couldn't spend a penny. And within 2 years, we finished 5th in League One. So I think we all need to zoom out once in a while and go look where we've come from. We nearly went book. Fans are sick of us saying this, but we nearly went bust. We didn't have a squad in League Two, and we're now fighting for promotion to get back into the Championship. And so it has been a hell of a ride.
Yeah. So how are you doing with your squad? Are you signing young players? Like we've changed our squad this season or the dynamic of how players that we want to buy. Is that what you did, or are you sort of trying to bring journeymen in to get you out of the league?
In League Two, it was sort of we signed 3 players really that were kind of the best at the level, and that were kind of older. We signed Sarcevic, obviously, Owen Doyle, and we like Baptiste and Matt Gilles, a couple of older players that we kind of went for the old route there for players that have been there and done it, got up, and ever since we've kind of gone for younger players. We've kind of picked off the kind of better younger players at sort of lower League One, higher League Two teams and tried to build that way. And then the last sort of year or so, we've seen us spend a bit of money. We signed Aaron Collins for, was rumoured 750 grand. We signed John McAtee for over $1 million. So we've spent probably 2.5 million over the last year or so, which has been a massive hike from the previous few years. So, I mean, that's where the expectation has come from. But there has been a focus on developing younger players rather than just bringing through. If you look at kind of what Rotherham have done and say Huddersfield, maybe they've brought in players that are above the level but older, kind of getting on a bit. We've kind of focused on, as you say, younger players that would improve with the progression of the club, hopefully.
Cool.
Yeah. So if we look ahead to Saturday, then look at players maybe that we need to look out for. When I'm looking at your stats and things, obviously Dion Charles and John McAtee stand out, as does Josh Sheehan. Is anybody else that we should sort of under our radar that we need to look out that's playing for you, that's doing really well?
I mean, I'd always say it's funny, really. You say Dion Charles is because I mean he's our top scorer at the minute. He's come off the bench in the last 2 games, looked really good. He's actually not been starting the last few games, which has been. Yeah, I mean, a bit of a shock, but we kind of need a physical presence up front, and Adebayo's brought that, and our last 2 games have been 2 of our best performances, so I'd be surprised if he changes it. But Josh Sheehan was our player of the year last season. We signed him from Newport a couple of years ago, and he did his ACL after about 10 games, and then came back, and we kind of thought he's going to kind of get phased out, and because I think he came on a 1-year contract originally, and then came back and was just a totally different player. Was our best player last season. Just could never really get the ball off him. I think he got 13, 14 assists last season, something like that. And then Ricardo Santos, our centre half, who has been with us since the start of the League Two. He's been in the team of the year for League One the last 3 seasons now. He's had a bit of a shaky few months, but because he was our captain and he's been took off the captaincy about a month ago. It was after the Huddersfield debacle, but it was I think it was rumour at the time that he didn't really want it. He kind of got given it because Sarcevic was our captain and he left, and Santos was kind of our second longest serving player at the point, and he kind of got it by default. But he had a bit of a struggle start of 2024, but he's been he's just won our player of the month for October. So I'd say Ricardo Santos, Sheehan, and then Collins McAtee either side of whichever striker starts will be the danger men.
Okay, and weaknesses that maybe we could exploit. Is there any we should be looking out for in your first 11?
Yeah, I'm not sure I want to say if Challoner's watching, but yeah. Our two massive weaknesses have been from set pieces, defending set pieces especially. That's kind of seems to where we always get undone. I feel like last season Derby basically went off because he scored 10 more goals from set pieces than us and conceded 10 less, and that was the difference. We seem to get bullied a little bit, and to be fair, recently we've looked a bit better attacking set pieces, but it's still been, we're still always kind of mid to lower table when, that would be the difference between us being up there in top two and where we are right now. And our defence has been a bit of a shambles in 2024. We had the second best defensive record the season before last, and then about this time last season we'd only conceded about 10 or 11 goals, something in the first 13 games. And we've had defensive injuries, but it's not really an excuse. Our defensive numbers have just been really bad since 2024. Like, since 2024 started, and a lot of it is because we've played this high possession football, and basically our defense is on the halfway line for half the game. We get caught in transition like very easily, and if you play two midfield, Sheehan and Matete, they're not the most physical. They're not going to cover the most ground. So if we get caught out and it's 3 or 4 players running at us, that's where we get caught.
So you're saying it can either be a very dull 0-0 or it's going to be 8-8 on Saturday?
Yeah. Honestly, our games are either mad, like end to end, like sort of Northampton away, Crawley away. Trying to think of even Stevenage away the other week, or it's a bit of we try and outpass you and you don't really do much. It's hard to predict.
So we played you last season in was it Papa John's or Bristol Street, whatever, and that was a real seminal moment for me because obviously we were League 2, you were League 1. And you were like the pinnacle. You were faster than us. You were stronger than us. You were athletic. You had, was it an Icelandic centre forward or something? Some sort of name that I couldn't really say. And I was like, Jesus, that's what we have to do when we get into League 1. So it sounds like you've lost that sort of pace, power, and sort of identity that I saw you at this time last season. What's gone wrong there, if anything has?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was basically our height of last season. I remember at that point, I think after that game we won 2-0, didn't we? And I think at that point we'd scored something like 15 unanswered goals in all competitions, and I think that was like our 6th or 7th win in a row. Because I remember looking back, thinking that was the last time we played you, and that was kind of our height of our form last season. I think we were top of the league as well, and I think it's more than anything, it's our defensive solidity that's gone. I mean, I'm saying this. I'm saying our weaknesses and everything. We've over the last 8 games, I think we're second for form behind Wycombe. We have had slightly favourable fixtures, as I said before, but yeah, it's maybe a mixture of teams figuring out how to defend against us. I mean, there was a big thing made about how Des Buckingham kind of outdid us in the playoff final, completely shut us down. We didn't create a single chance all game. And that's kind of been set out as the blueprint of how to play against us. We've adapted a little bit. We've gone a little less possession heavy over the last 5 or 6 games where we've been better. But yeah, you're right. I mean, that was probably the best we've been over the last 4 years when we played you this time last season. So yeah, we've dipped slightly then.
Cool.
Looking on FOTMob, it's showing that you're playing a 3-4-2-1. And I know that when you get down to the lower leagues, that FOTMob's not very reliable when it comes to formations or putting the right players in the right positions or anything. Because we ended up with one of our centre backs playing attacking midfielder left in one of the lineups. But is that generally how you set up, or are you quite a fluid team, or is it like Dave Challoner says a lot? But for us, it's the difference. We have supposedly have a formation in possession and a formation out of possession. Are you sort of similar along the lines of that?
Yeah, we've switched between a 3-4-2 and a 3-5-2. 3-5-2 is what we used last season, and we were brilliant with it up until we started getting injuries sort of second half of the season and we tailed off. And then this season, in pre-season, we played the 3-4-2-1. We signed a couple of kind of half 10, half wingers, kind of in like John McAtee and Clyde Lollos and Aaron Collins. We signed in January, who played off the left for Bristol Rovers as well as up front. And it looked like we were going to play a 3-4-2-1/3-4-3 kind of thing. And then obviously we had the dreadful start to the season, and he reverted back to the 3-5-2. But he's mixed between them. He spoke in an interview after the game, after the Stevenage game, I think it was, and he basically said, whenever we play a 4 at the back, we'll play the 3-4-2-1 because it's hard for them to pick up. If the wing backs push up and pin your full backs back, and then you've got 3 up front to contend against 2 centre halves, it's hard for the opposition to pick up. But yeah, it is quite interchangeable. I think we'll see how the game pans out, and we have options off the bench to change it if needs be. But we are lacking in midfield at the minute. We had 5 midfielders to start the season. George Thomason, who's basically been ever present since he broke through a few years ago, got injured till the end of the year, I'm pretty sure. And Kyle Dempsey is always kind of in and out with injuries. So at the minute, it's down to Sheena Matete and then Scott Arfield, who is 37 and has not been great to start his Bolton career this season. So we're kind of limiting in midfield.
Good stuff. So it could be won or lost in midfield, basically, couldn't it? Should be interesting. I normally at this point ask how many you're bringing, but we know, don't we? So what I will ask is, I'll push you for a score prediction for Saturday. We'll probably do ours later, but I always like to get a score prediction from our opposition preview guests. What are you going to go for?
You can do a head and a heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we have a tendency to. We call ourselves charity wanderers. We have a tendency to give teams that have just been spanked or on a bad run to give them their first win in a while, or something like that. So you can imagine what Bolton's Twitter last night was half like, God, we could have a go here. I'm thinking, oh no, they've just been spanked. We're probably going to lose to them 1-0 on Saturday, aren't we? But I mean, it's funny because I had from the first sort of 8 or 9 games, if kind of ignore the table, I had Stockport as kind of the best of the promoted clubs. I thought Wrexham started well, but I thought they'd tail off. Same with Mansfield, but it's kind of been Stockport that have stumbled a bit the last few weeks. So I earmarked this as kind of one of our toughest games in the first kind of like 15 games of the season. But I'm gonna go. We've been much better recently, and obviously last night's going to take a bit out of years. I'm going to go for. I'm going to go for a 2-1.
I thought you were going to say you're going to win 4 something there. I was thinking you're confident.
Wow, that's a bit bold.
There's confidence and then there's delusion. Yeah.
So what did you go for?
Yeah, sorry.
2-1 Whites.
Right, 2-1. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, you've got to back yourself. I always like it when opposition fans come on from other podcasts and back themselves. That's what we do. We all do it, don't we? So fair play. Fair play.
Oh yeah, I don't think I've ever not predicted us to win on a preview. So yeah,
fair dues. Well, yeah, fair dues. Right, Ben, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. Probably
thanks for having us, boys.
No worries. See you tomorrow night on yours. If it's you that I'm going to be on with, but there we go.
Yes,
right.
It'll be me and the other Ben tomorrow night at 8 PM if you want to join us on the Fanzone Pod.
Sweet. Yeah, we'll get a link out to that. And yeah, good luck after Saturday.
Brilliant.
All right. Cheers, mate. Speak to you soon.
Cheers, you too.
Cheers, bye now. Bye. There we go. Ben from the Fanzone Podcast. Excellent stuff. Shall we move on to last night's debacle and then probably talk a bit about Bolton later? I feel like we need to get it out of the way. The whole Wycombe thing. One thing I will say before we start, you're allowed to smile through this, okay? You can smile if you want. We're allowed to. So,
I was
what we saying?
Armband on.
Yeah. Right, Waggie.
Just no photos. No photos. Yeah, I'll smile, but you're not taking a photo of me. Yeah, so Waggie, you take the floor. Where did it all go wrong last night? And try not to rant. Waggie's rants.
I mentioned this slightly before we started the pod. I'm actually quite placid with the loss last night. I know I think the problem started from kickoff, and they ended with the final whistle. I think basically that's pretty much how it went. But and as I say, and we've said it before. We've said it quite a few times. It's a young team. We're going to have 1 week. We're going to be beating teams like Reading, and then the next week we're going to get turned over by a really decent Wycombe team. I think a lot of people have said I think they're probably going to be one of the best teams, if not the best team that we'll see at Edgeley Park this year, this season. And it was just very lackluster. We were second to everything. They were the second balls, they were first to them. The winning things in the air. The referee set himself up that within the first sort of 20, 30 seconds, one of their players got, I think one of our players breathed on him and he fell over and he got a free kick. And that was it for the rest of the game. And our players never seemed to cotton on to that. So every time they were going down and they were breaking our play up, they were stopping us doing anything. But every time that we got the ball, they almost seemed as if they had 12 or 13 players on the pitch. I had to count them a few times just to make sure they'd not like slid another player on. But yeah, they were just better all over the pitch, and it was one of those games where there was far too many players that were well below average, and just I thought it was quite amusing is the fact that Will Collar got the man of the match. And before they announced it, we sort of had a discussion, and everyone was like, "Oh, probably Southam Hales should get it because he came on and he did all right," which showed how bad it was. But when you looked on FOTMob, Will Collar actually got the worst outfield player rating out of all the team, which I thought was quite surprising. Yes, he did. Yeah, he got I think it was a 4.9 or something.
4.7. That is bad.
Yeah, so he got the man of the match, but on FOTMob he got the worst outfield player.
Wow.
So yeah, it was just a very, very bad evening, wasn't it? We were just crap all over the pitch. So, but I said this team is the team for next year. We're building for next year. We want to develop those players. This is a big kick up the arse to them. I think Charlie's interview afterwards, I think, was really good. The way he talked about it, and he wasn't going over the top when we beat Reading last week, and he's not going over the top by getting beat by Wycombe this week. So I think it's a big thing now is how we react to it. So yeah, I'm not having a Waggie Rants. I'm at peace with it. We were rubbish. We deserved to beat 5-0, and we're going to have ups and downs. We're in League One. We were 10th still, so I'd still be happy if we finished 10th. I still think it'll click, and we will be a much better side from it.
Okay, so you're not ranting. We need this. We need some emotion. Come on, Jimmy. You've got to rant. Someone's got to be really like livid about this. Surely someone's got to be. Jimmy.
Yeah. Okay, so everybody, it was my fault. So I brought somebody to the game last night. He was very close to my heart. It's my brother Simon. He lives in Australia. It's his first game for like 4 or 5 years. He used to be a season ticket holder with me in the Cheadle. And yeah, obviously within 8 minutes, the game had gone, hadn't we? And I was thinking, shit, we got like 90 minutes here with injury time to sort of sit through a game that we're not going to get back into. So yeah, it's my fault that Simon came to the game. The really bad news is that he's over for like 10 weeks and he's going to try as many games as he can.
Yeah.
So, yes, we'll get a GoFundMe page to keep him away, or just buy him some more John Bishop tickets.
Yeah, he's at John Bishop tonight, so yeah, he's going to have a lot more fun than he did last night. But you've asked me to have a little rant. All I'm going to say 3 words: outplayed, outfought, and outthought, which is pretty much everything that you get with football. I felt that they were like Bolton were when we played Bolton a year ago. They were stronger than us. They knew when to go down and when not to go down. As you were saying, Waggie, to break up play. They were faster than us. The through balls that they were making were just cutting us open. And they had two very big players at the back, didn't they? They were about 6'6", and we just kept on hoofing it up. So yeah, it was really bad. But the one thing that I'm going to rant about, and actually, I'll probably leave it for my getting the rezzers, but I'll give you a preview of my getting the rezzers, and that is stop getting on Adai's back when he concedes goals that is not his fault. Okay, just because he concedes a goal doesn't mean that he's crap. Like their 5th goal, I had people behind me, like shouting at him and like, "Oh, get Ben in, get Ben in." That was a sweet goal. Like the whole team move was brilliant, and the guy absolutely pinged it on a wet pitch, and it flew past him. No keeper's saving that. So I'll have to think of another getting the rezzers now. But that's my thoughts in a nutshell, Russ.
Fair dues, yeah. There were people. I think there was certain fans chanting for Ben when it's like
after the third goal.
And the third goal, arguably, I mean, the third goal, he parried it out, and then they got to the rebound. Fair dues. He could have done better with that. But the other 4,
with that as well, when he saves it and it comes out, Connolly can't
the defenders
move
have a job to do.
And he kneels down. Yeah. Connolly kneels down instead of trying to get a foot to the ball or anything. So, is it Adai or is it Connolly? Connolly should have been thinking he's going to get a save on this. But if Adai hadn't have touched that, it'd have been a tap-in for a Wycombe player that was stood behind him. If you looked on the highlights, not the highlights, I watched the goals back, and basically there was a Wycombe player that was right there. It just say, it was just nothing clicked, did it? It was like, save for the penalty. Was it Fraser that tried clearing it and it bounces off one of their guys' heads who's like 10, 15 yards in front of him and then drops to their player. And then
we're completely out of position. The whole team is expecting a ball 30 meters upfield.
I mean, obviously, sat in the Cheadle end, with it being at the opposite end, I said that's not a penalty when he first went down and the referee points to the spot. And then I've watched the replay, watched it back today, and I'm like, that's a stonewall penalty. And I'm surprised that he's still on the pitch. To be honest, it was a bad. But as you say, he gave the ball away, and we were on the back foot, and that was the only thing that he could do. So I think everything that could go wrong did go wrong.
It did. Everything sort of aligned, didn't it? Kind of like double whammy, really. They were really good and knew how to play us. We just, I mean, it's difficult to point, to finger point at players because they were all crap, weren't they? Basically, they all had a really bad off night. Arguably, Jack Diamond was decent in the first half. I'm surprised he went off, and we can talk about the substitute shortly. But I thought Diamond was trying to make things happen. So I'm not really sure why he went off. Maybe it was a tactical thing, injured. I don't know. But yeah, Dave Philbin says here. One sec. Dave Philbin says here is multiple mistakes by multiple players for multiple goals last night and for many other games this season. He's right. And I also think, and I said it to my lad last night, we're going to get spanked again this season. So, you better strap in. If you're unhappy with that and leaving after 70 minutes or whatever, then it's going to happen again because we are not accustomed to this league yet. And if you think about it, I don't want to spin too many positives because it was poor last night. But what are we in now? November. So we are 3 months, I think, into a 36-month plan to get to the championship. So it's really early days in that sort of and evolution of this team.
Challoner's a young manager as well. This is the first time he's ever been at this level. And as you say, we said it many a times previous seasons, is that this is where it is properly that next level, isn't it? Yeah. Getting out the National League, getting out of League Two, this is where you have that split of bottom end championship teams or teams that are going to be playing championship.
Yeah.
And
massive clubs as well. Bolton are coming on Saturday. Bolton, fucking huge club. They have away season tickets for God's sake. I mean, who does that?
They get an average of 21,000, I think, so far this season. That's a big club, isn't it? The ex-Prem club. Yeah. So there's some big teams, and maybe Wycombe aren't one of them, but they are the form team at the minute. I've seen a lot of people saying, "Well, we shouldn't have postponed it. We shouldn't have postponed it the first time, and we'd have been all right." They were still on the form, and we'd have been playing them without a left-sided player, a left-sided defender, without a left back or a left wing back. So why would we want to? I mean, looking back, obviously after last night, why would we want to hinder ourselves by not having to put like square pegs in round holes against the team that were in form? As you say,
do you not think that we are still doing that? And that's probably the reason why Diamond came off, because Dave is trying to play this three centre backs with wing backs, and like last night he had Bate as a single midfielder protecting the three centre backs with Fiorini and Collar pushing on. It worked brilliantly against Reading. We were saying how amazing we did. Bate was playing the role of two midfielders, Fiorini, Collar popping the ball off, and we stuck 4 past them. But the problem that you've got trying to play Diamond at that wing back position is he just wants to go forward, and that's his game. We didn't buy him to be a left-sided wing back, let's face it. And so the injuries, whilst there's not many of them, let's face it, but they are to key players. Noyle and Mingy, I think, are massive losses. Powell now, after he's got back into the team, he is now a massive loss. And you're looking at that midfield, having Norwood, who has played one good game for us. I mean, the guy's obviously got quality, let's not forget that, but we've given him a 3-year contract. And you said before, Russ, that we're 3 months into a 36-month plan. I'm going to say that the squad of players that we've got at the moment is not giving me the vibes that they are going to click to get us into the Championship. And remember, we got rid of some club legends to bring these players in and to bed them in over 36 months. But from what I've seen of the very best, and like you're talking levels, the very best in this division have got more than we've got. They've got they're taller, they're more athletic, they're stronger. They know how to go down when they should do. They know when to stay on their feet when they should stay on their feet. They're clinical. I'm not seeing that from our group of players, and maybe that's me being unfair. And yeah, they could come good, but what I'm seeing is a group of players who maybe they're technically good, but they haven't got that physical presence. If you look at that midfield, Fiorini, Collar, and Bate, you haven't got a ratter in there. You've not got someone that can really break it up and really put themselves about. The great little players, and same with Diamond. He's pretty lightweight as well. Do you know? I don't know.
I see I hear what you're saying. Absolutely do. But do you think that with players like Fiorini, Bate, Diamond, Barry's probably not on the same thing because he's probably going to go back, but the others are ours, aren't they? I think. Well, they are. If you 3 months into this 36-month plan, if you bolster that with those quality players, where we're missing all those things that you say, then players come along with that and grow with that over the next 18 months, 2 years, whatever it is. That's where I'm thinking. We might not have all of the tools in the box now. Tools, I said, not toys. We did say toys last week, but it's tools this week. Then maybe that's something we can sort of hope for.
Yeah, I mean, we've given quite a few players 3-year contracts as well, haven't we? I mean, Norwood got himself a 3-year contract as well. I don't know who is out of. Sorry, my glasses are breaking at the moment. 1 second. There we go. Fuck it. I can't see you now, guys. I'll just keep on talking. Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see. I've not looked because we're nowhere near the end of the season, but who is out of contract at the end of the season? We've obviously got the couple of players who were injured, so Maka and Ryder. It was great to see them playing. And if Dave is insisting on playing these wing backs and the back three, and he's consistently said throughout the time he's been here, we are a crossing team. Okay. But when you're a crossing team, you need wing backs that get forward, get to the byline. Okay. And nobody is doing that. Connolly, he's not a wing back. Diamond is not doing that because he's inverted. Touré's not doing that because he lets Barry get ahead of him and he fits into a back four almost. And so it becomes very easy to defend as well when you're not getting your players far enough forward. And that's all they had to do last night. They shuffled across if we were on one side of the pitch, shuffled across if we were on the other side of the pitch, and then spanked us down the middle. And that's how we conceded 5 goals. So I think
they did put 3
probably a little worried, if I'm honest. It'd be interesting to see what happens against Bolton. But I would say that he's a little bit worried with the squad of players that he has got.
Yeah. Should we Should we get into some questions then? So we've got some questions from last week, actually, but I think they're just as relevant now, and they're pretty sort of humdingers of questions. Let's start with the first one. Start with you, Waggie. Would you be happy with mid-table, or is that lacking ambition?
I'd be happy with mid-table, but I don't think we're going to finish mid-table. I still think that we're good enough to beat the playoffs. I think so. I think so.
Jimmy?
I think, yeah, we are maybe lacking a few, but it is the players that, you know what I mean? It was almost the same team that we played against Reading, and we turned Reading over. Yeah, and you know, Reading and Wycombe are two completely different teams. They play different styles and stuff like that. So it's just trying to work out how best to play. And I think you don't get as much time. And I know it's the same. You're going up the leagues. You don't get as much time on the ball, and teams are a lot better at pressing. As I say, we were the last few years. We've been the top. We've been one of the top sides in whatever league we've been in. And teams have been coming to us and wanting to sit back, and we're having to break them down. Whereas teams now, we're not that big fish anymore. We're not one of the top teams in the division. So they're not coming to Edgeley Park scared. They're coming like, oh, these are just newly promoted. We can have these type of thing. You know, they're picking up on our frailties and what the issues are, and they're being able to pick us off, and we're not being able to change ourselves, change our thing, everything. We're not being able to change our style or change how we play quick enough. I still think it's strange because we seem to be, and I think I have mentioned it last week or the week before, is that we tend last night was the first time I think we've tried playing with Wootton on the pitch. But unfortunately, they had two massive centre-backs. Normally, we try to play the ball long when we've got Tanto up front. And when we've got Wootton on the pitch, we tend to try and play it along the floor and stuff. It's a weird, but I don't understand why we don't seem to... Dave Chandler says we want to play out the back. But it seemed as soon as we sort of went 2-0 down, it was a case of, oh, we're just going to lump it. We're just going to lump it.
But you can only play out from the back if you've got something in front of you that's actually worth passing the ball to. And what we're seeing at the moment, I think, is that we're knobbing it around at the back, and then there's nothing there, so we just bump it forward, and we concede possession. And then, what's the point in spending those 20 seconds knocking it around the back between Horsfall, Adai, and Pye if all you're going to do is lump it? And this is where I think the midfield, so that centre of the pitch. We have not replaced that three that we had with Collar, Sarcevic, and Crowsdale, our midfield. And he keeps on trying to find something in midfield, and it's just not working. And you're not going to win many games of football if you can't retain possession in a advanced part of the pitch as well. We did it well against Reading, but we were sort of quite far away from them in relation to I mean, they were really powder puff. I was impressed. I'm not impressed, but I was surprised at how weak they were on the ball, and that's how we were playing last night.
Yeah.
We were Reading when we played them, basically.
A few people have said in the comments camped. I think
that's
made
a massive difference.
I completely forgot about him, but we are missing him. It's a great point, Ian. Yeah,
I think he's probably the biggest surprise for me of how well he has stepped up to being in League One. I thought he was going to be a really real fringe player this season, but as you say, we look him and Bates next to each other. We look a different team, don't we? We have that bite that you're talking about, Jimmy.
Yeah,
you mentioned before, Jimmy, about having a ratter. I think you're right. I don't think we've got someone who's like proper, not nasty to a point, should we say? You know, get stuck in, bit of a
shithouse.
Yeah, well, you're kind of different, isn't it? And I think I know you're almost like a Graham Souness, isn't it, or a Roy Keane, that kind of player that is commanding, gets stuck in when they need to, knows how to manage the game.
It's the sort of player that that the other teams hate in the side. If you were to say to anybody, "Oh, which Stockport County player do you really like?" Yeah, he's a real nasty bastard, and I bet no one will be able to name anybody because we haven't got any nasty bastards in our team. And sometimes
it was Sars before, wasn't it? Though I put Sars in that bracket before.
Sars was, yeah, and we've not replaced him.
And Madden,
yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You know, you're spot on. Another question then, and this one it segues nicely into what we've been talking about, and it does relate to last night. We are having a moan, but we make no apology for that. Jimmy, I'll come to you first. What's our identity?
Well, as I've said to you, our identity is playing down the wings and having a high tempo, a high press. But if you don't have that high press, and all you become is a very slow team, knocking it to players who aren't willing to get forward enough. And that's what we've got. Torre crosses from 20 yards out, 25 yards out. Barry and Diamond and Fevrier, they are direct, they're inverted, and they will try and score goals. But you've got nobody that's getting to that byline. And how many times last night number one, they got to the byline and managed to cut the ball back. They had midfield runners as well. Was it the fourth goal where they managed to, I can't remember which one it was now. I mean, they all blur into just a whole nightmare. Obviously, was it the fifth one where they had three players at the far post all lining up to score? The fourth one was where they had some midfield runners. I don't know. But Bate was absolutely overrun. I've seen someone mention that we should be starting Norwood, but he's done nothing to warrant getting a starting place. He's neat, he's tidy on the ball, but he's the sort of player that needs a shithouse next to him. Yeah. A shithouse next to him. Yeah, because him and Bate are too nice as a midfield too. And we're going to continue to get overrun. And you're right, Waggie, if Camps isn't in the team, I don't think those two players can play midfield together. And that's why he's tried playing this sort of inverted triangle with Bate at the base and then Fiorini and Collar a bit further forward. But if they're not picking runners up, I mean, we were just completely overrun by and it's not just the physicality that they brought last night, because they had two little midfielders, like two tiny little midfielders in the middle of the park. But they just knew when to pop the ball off. They knew how to play the ball through the centre. How many times do we play through balls in a game? One? Like through the middle, from midfield to someone like Tanto running onto it.
Yeah.
How many times do we do that coming through the centre? Hardly ever. So it was so easy to defend against.
Yeah, I mean, Challoner did say, or I'm not sure if it was last night, that he's not played his the way he wants to play yet with the first 11 because of injuries and things like that. I mean, that I'm not excusing, but you can't excuse a 5-0 for that, can you? I mean, there's still effort, and you know they were toothless last night. It was really poor. I'm sure they were in training today, getting an earful.
Yeah. They'd have been doing a lot of laps, wouldn't they, to start with?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've got one more question left. Before I do, for anybody that's listening, please do, well, certainly on YouTube, please do like the video for us. And if you're not subscribed and you enjoy this, please do subscribe. And whatever podcast player you're listening to us on audio, please do rate and review us, because it really does help us. Thank you very much. Right, last question then. First to Waggie for this one. It's really, I'm not going to enjoy listening to this, and it is only 1-5-0 defeat, although we've had a couple of defeats now. Both have been heavy. Has Challoner reached his limit?
As what, his level?
Yeah, this is a question from a listener, by the way. Has Challoner reached his limit / level?
No, I don't think so. I I think he's still got enough in him to go to get a promotion winning team in League One and a championship manager. I think it goes back. You think the first year back in League Two, a lot of the time we sort of fell down because we didn't have a plan A, plan B, plan C. We only had a plan A, and if that didn't work, that was it. We were done. Whereas the second season in League Two, we had that plan A, B, C, D, E, and we continually adapted to whoever we were playing. And we could do that, and Challoner obviously developed that way. So I don't think so. I think he can still definitely push us, and he can take us to the Championship. And I think if we'd have carried on and we'd have been up there, at Christmas time, I don't think he'd have been our manager in January. I think somebody top half of the Championship would have come in for him.
Yeah.
But this is, this again, it's a new league to him. It's a much better league than League Two. And he's finding out what he needs to do to be good in League One. So
Jimmy?
no, I don't think it is.
This is a no from you, Jimmy. It's a no from me, by the way. I don't think he has reached his limit. Go on.
No, I don't think he's reached his limit. Although I would say that managers have their own style of play, whether it's Pep, Jurgen Klopp, whoever it is, they have their own style of play, and then they impress that and imprint that on the team. I think the problem that Charlie's got at the moment is he's second guessing himself, and I feel like we're a bit of a neither nor sort of side at the moment. We're trying to do lots of things, trying to scrabble around for the answer, whether it's booting it up to Wootton, whether it's trying to go wide, whether it's playing out from the back, and we're not particularly doing anything well. Whereas when you look at Wycombe, one of the comments here was the Wycombe players knew where they wanted to put the ball before they got the ball, because they seem to know where their teammates are on the pitch. And because we keep on rotating the team around a lot, the midfield isn't particularly settled with injuries and things. We're rotating the forward line, whether it's Tanto, Wootton, Barry, Diamond, Fevrier, Collar, Fiorina. There's about 8 players there that are playing 4 positions maybe. And I don't think that, I think that's causing us problems, and it makes it look like the guy I was sat next to, never sat next to him before. And he said to me, looks like we're playing, it looks like every single player on that pitch is playing out of position. Like the way that they were playing, they were hesitant, they were slow, they were looking around, they weren't quite sure where they should be passing to or running to. And I was like, that's a good point, actually, mate. It does look like that. Whereas Wycombe when the ball came wherever it was, they knew where they were going to put it. The strikers knew, run down the channels at this point, go inside at this point. And I think hopefully that will come. Don't get me wrong. And I don't think Dave has reached his level. What I would say, and this might be slightly controversial, is I wonder whether the coaching staff needs adding to, with maybe somebody that's done it at a higher level. Remember, the coaching staff are all coming up with Dave, aren't they? So that they've all come up through National League and all that sort of stuff, League Two. I just wonder whether we need to be a little bit cuter and have some different ideas from that side of it, and still stick to his ethos, how he wants to play, but maybe have a slightly different approach to that. Also, just one other thing, another guy behind me was actually talking about our set pieces, and just saying how poor he thought our set pieces were. And again, I think I've got to agree with that. It just looks like lump it in hope.
Yeah, they were corners especially. There were a few from Bate that weren't great. And yeah, I don't know why Barry stands with him on those. I mean, you normally do that to create the angle, don't you? With a bit of a short corner, maybe, or you sort of teasing for the short corner. But he got it in at least 3 times that I counted, and he didn't beat the first man. You got.
There was one which was definitely off the training ground, which completely didn't work when he played it along the floor. There was I don't know who it was that was running from a penalty spot towards, and the Wycombe player was like, "Oh yeah, I'm seeing what's coming here," and he just randomly picked the ball up and went out. The other one is I don't understand why we don't leave players up when they've got a corner. Yeah, everybody is back. You know what I mean?
It's funny, isn't it?
What does Barry do for a corner?
Well, that'd be me. You'd leave Barry up, wouldn't you? Because Wootton comes back for his height. Clearly, leave Barry up or leave Diamond up, because they're gonna cause problems if there's a quick transition, isn't there?
Once you do that, and you're taking at least 2 of their players out, you're taking at least 2-3 of their players that are going to be back on the halfway line.
Yeah.
So I don't understand. I know there's a lot of teams that do that. It's not just County, but certainly when we're sort of 2-0 down, 3-0 down, they get a corner and we've still got everybody back defending. You'd think it's like, well, we've got to take a chance here. We've got to try and get back into this game. And if that's a case of, getting a knockdown and getting the ball out quickly, then we need to have somebody up there to be able to do that. Because I think there was 2 or 3 times last night when we got a decent clearance that went 2 or beyond the halfway line, and there was nobody there. So it was coming straight back at you.
I think the thinking behind it is that if you pack the penalty box, like the 6-yard box, with as many players as you can, you're potentially stopping them getting a run on the ball. If you suddenly start putting players, I mean, having said that, did Jim put two players up, or was it just the one? I don't remember him putting every single player back. I mean, there's been periods in our history, I'm sure it was when Jim was the manager, maybe Danny as well, but where we had like 1 or 2 players upfield, which then made them put 2 or 3 upfield. So it was interesting to hear from the Bolton fan that they struggle against transitions, because Dave does. I think he wants to be a bit of a transition team, doesn't he? And I think we probably got the personnel to do that, and they like defending very high up the pitch as well. Be interesting to see whether Tanto gets a game because of that.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Pushing on for time now. We'll do Get in the Rezzers. Before we do Get in the Rezzers, I've got a quick message about a podcast that's coming out tomorrow at 8 o'clock. So yeah, we've got a regular podcast coming out for the County ladies. Stu Hope's going to be the host of that, and he's going to have the manager on, Steve O'Hara, and other people, other coaches and things, I guess, from whoever he can get on, and fans as well from County ladies. That's going to be a regular monthly show. See how that goes. The first one is out tomorrow at 8 o'clock, so look out for that. Okay. Shall we do Get in Rezzers? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, boss. Yeah.
Thanks.
Sorry, I thought it was
Get in the rezzers.
Come on, get in rezzers.
Get in
Rezzers. Get in rezzers.
That's rubbish. Get in rezzers.
I'm not having that. Get in rezzers.
Should we all agree that last night can get in the Rezzers? Should we just do? Should we just like blanket that last night can get in the Rezzers? Not Wycombe though. They can't. Yeah, they were good. Hold our, doff your cap to Wycombe. They were brilliant. Not saying anything like that, but yeah, our performance and everything around it. The 3 words that Jimmy said that apparently you nicked from Phil Lloyd, Jimmy, but that was something that was put up before. Yeah,
honestly,
sure.
I didn't see that. Outplayed, outthought, outthought. Phil, it looks like we're on exactly the same wavelength. I came up with that straight after the game last night. I even wrote it down on my little OneNote thing. So yeah. So piss off, Phil. All right. Piss off. Well, Phil. Anyway, my idea, Phil.
Getting Rezzers. Right. I think I'm going to go first with this one. Mine's football related, but it isn't county related. It's actually match of the day related. Now I've noticed this, and this is quite niche, I think. So they have the green screen background, don't they? On match of the day, day too. So they can put whatever they want in that background. Okay, so it's nice background, but I've noticed that the Premier League trophy on the left-hand side of that graphic is not aligned properly. You wouldn't put it on the shelf that way. A bit off alignment. It's not facing the way it should face. Now, that really annoys me every single week. I look at it and go, why is that? If it was in a museum or something, or in my house, you'd be like, right, I've got to go over and move it and align it properly. It's CGI. Why is it not aligned properly? I don't get it. And when you see it, you won't be able to unsee it, by the way.
No, this is another OCD one, isn't it? Like Stu,
yeah, well, it absolutely is. Yeah.
Wonky badges.
yeah. Honestly, that can get in the rezzers for me. So I think what can get in the rezzers is it's poor management of CGI, poor media people.
I think Dave Philbin sums it up there.
Yeah, you have, yeah.
You've just
Just
ruined
watch
match
it.
of the day for everybody.
You'll never be able to unsee it. It's the Premier League trophy, the made-up Premier League trophy in the corner. There you go. That's my get in the rezzers. Can we agree that that can get in the rezzers, or are you going to wait till next week till you've seen
Well,
it?
I'll have to wait until next week because
Right.
I'll have to watch match of the day first. But I'm guessing that it is there because your OCD has picked up on it and brought it to the rezzers. So yeah, it can go in the rezzers.
Okay, well we'll leave it. We'll leave it on the bank of rezzers for now. So that's mine. Anyway, Jimmy, go on. You can go next.
I've already done mine already. I went early with mine. Do you remember the people
Oh, well,
whinging about Adai?
Well, you give us a little insight, didn't you? So let's get both barrels.
Well, I'm just sick of it because the guy can do no right. I think we can say if he makes a save, it's either forgotten about or he should have saved it better. The guy stopped a goal, okay, and you're complaining that he's not like done a better save than he should have done. I mean, I'm all out of just expletives and like stuff when it comes to this because it's really annoying. In fact, I almost went down at the end of the game because I was watching him intently. When you're 5-0 down, you're not watching the game. I was watching him intently, and he spent the last 10 minutes pretty much 20 yards outside, well, 2 or 3 yards outside of his penalty area. Because he was probably getting pelters from our fans, yeah, not the away fans, our fans behind him. And I felt like, why don't I go down and just shout to him, Corey, it's not your fault, mate. Okay,
I love you.
Keep your head up. Yeah,
yeah.
I didn't, but maybe I should do. So, Corey, if you're listening, or Will Collar, we know that Will. Sorry, Russ, I can't call him Will. I don't know him.
You don't know him. Don't call him Will.
Oh, no, he said Will Collar, though. Give him his full name.
Will Collar, full name's fine. Yeah, full name's fine.
Okay, fair enough. Because what I find is when I'm watching the game, and say someone's on the ball, I'll call them like Jack or I'll call them Nick or something. But then when I'm referring to them outside the game, it'll be like Nick Powell or Jack Diamond.
Yeah, exactly. That's fine. And don't forget this is my getting the rezzers from a few weeks ago, isn't it? So let's not delve into that. Maybe we'll have a longer conversation about that, and I'll explain it in detail, perhaps.
Yeah. So if Corey is listening, or if Will Collar is listening, let him know that I, Jimmy Harmer, don't think he was at fault for the goals, and to get his head up. I am a dad as well, and like people have feelings and all this sort of stuff. And if someone was shouting shit at my daughter because she let 5 goals in or something, she's not a goalie, but there we go. So yeah, keep your head up, mate.
Fair play. Just one tiny comment before we move on. I've seen this before at County. It's probably happened a million times since, but definitely with Neil Cutler, and it didn't end well for him. So we got loads of people got on his back, and it got a bit embarrassing. So yeah, okay, yeah, absolutely, good stuff. Waggie, what's your getting rezzers, mate?
Mine is football related, but it's not actually county related. But there's a lot of people that have been commenting about the Sky Sports News reporter who went over to interview the new alleged Man United manager, and it was a Portuguese press conference. And he's actually asked a question in English and asked him to answer in English because he's on Sky Sports News, which is that's fair enough. So a lot of people commented on it, and I was like, well, yeah, maybe that could get in the rezzers. But then I remember, and I saw it at the time, was when Thomas Tuchel got interviewed, his press conference. There was an English guy who writes for a German paper, and then just came along and just asked a question in German. And then, so Tuchel answered it in German, and then the FA were like, "Oh no, hold on a minute. This is an English conference." So we then re-asked the question in English. So it's like, well, it's not as if you can't speak the language. You know what I mean? Sky Sports News have sent this guy to Portugal because they want a reaction because he's now the new Man United manager. So it's like, it's just a bit. Just why? If I understand that if it's in Portugal, you should send somebody who speaks Portuguese, and then it should be translated back for the English fans. And the same for if you're doing an English interview for the England job. when there's all this big controversy already that it's a German manager that are coming in, and you just step up and think, oh, I know, I'll just throw a question in German, even though I'm actually English. I'm just winding people up. So just doing shit like that can get in the rezzers.
Yeah,
just being a pompous twat, basically.
Yeah. Well, that you've summed it up at the end with the right words, I think, haven't you? Yeah. No, yeah, I agree. So, Jimmy, do you agree with that one? Should we vote that one in as well?
Yeah, happy with that. It's just rude, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, I want to say it's typically English, but I don't think it is these days. I think it's
that was the big thing anymore. Is that there was, and I know that said the guy was English that asked the German question.
Yeah,
but there was a lot of people that were kicking off because it was like, this is why everybody hates the English, because you go over to Portugal and you ask a question in English instead of Portuguese. Well, there's a guy that just asked a question in German at an England thing. So where was everybody kicking off about that?
Well, this is it's almost like if you're going to do that and you can't speak Portuguese, why are you there? There's loads of Portuguese.
Yeah, exactly. It's that lazy that can do that job. News.
Yeah, exactly. But then just be nice and go, look, I don't speak Portuguese. I'm really sorry and almost embarrassed about that. Can I ask in English, or could you answer in English for me? And that'd be the right thing to do, wouldn't it? Not with that expectation. So
just hold your phone up and go Google Translate.
Yeah. Being someone who works in a pan-European and global business, and I speak to loads of people who speak better English than me sometimes, I do appreciate. Way, I can't even say Edgley Con Club coaches. Well, I've just done it. Way.
Yay!
That's who we're in partnership with, by the way. Just thought I'd get that plug in. There we go. Okay, yeah, good stuff. Good getting rezzers. Right, I think we're just about done, boys. I think that's it for this week. Let's hope that next week is a better week, and on Monday with the Courtyard Club call, Jimmy, it's a better result to talk about against Bolton. And I think it's Tranmere on Tuesday, isn't it, in the Bristol Street Motors, if memory serves.
Yeah. So, is that a dud game, or do they need something out of it?
Don't know about them. We are through though, aren't we? So
we are through, aren't we? Yeah.
Minutes for us, isn't it? So we shall see. Jimmy, I hope your glasses are fixed sometime soon.
Thank you. I've only got one pair as well, so.
Specsavers, mate. They're always on telly and that. You've heard of them, haven't you? Surely. Get yourself down.
Plenty of places. Just too busy to go. But no, this weekend I'm going to order myself some new glasses.
Good stuff.
There you go. You heard it first.
Yeah.
On the Stockport.
You can hold me to that, everyone.
And it's a Jimmy exclusive. It's a Courtyard Club call exclusive.
It's not. It's a live show exclusive.
Live show exclusive. Good stuff. Yeah, so Jimmy and Dan will be back on Monday morning, 6 a.m. with the Courtyard Club call. That'll be live. Sorry, not live. That'll be in your inbox. So get yourself, turn on your notifications for that for YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, whatever podcast player you listen to us on. And we will be back next week with our weekly show. So yeah, all that's left to say is thank you for listening and watching, and we will see you next week.
Cheers.
See you later.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap for this episode of the Scarf Bagara War. We hope you enjoyed the podcast. Remember, you can catch us every week on your favourite podcast platform, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Google Podcasts. And a huge thank you to all of our Patreon members. Your contributions help keep the show running to bring the content you love. If you'd like to support the podcast and get access to exclusive special guest episodes, ad-free podcasts, and a monthly giveaway, head over to patreon.com/the Scarf Bagara War. And don't forget to follow us on social media for updates, behind the scenes content, and more. You can find us on X, Facebook, and Instagram, all at County Podcast. Lastly, if you enjoyed the show, please leave us a review and share it with your fellow County fans. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more listeners. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on the Scarf Bagara War. Come on, County!